we resume, we want to give the advocate time to lead you in your presentation. He has been quiet for over an hour. That's why I say over an hour. Yeah. So it's your time. Good luck.
But Honourable Chair, to be fair to the witness, if he wants to round off, he has for the past 2 hours been responding to a presentation made by IPID before the Portfolio Committee on the, I think, 14th or 16th of May 2017. Has been reading extensively from his affidavit, and not only the presentation he made in Parliament. I don't know whether he has concluded his response to that, because I'm obviously going to move on to something new, something different, new topic, although it's related. I know General Phahlane had promised to be quick after the last break that we had. But yeah.
Chair, I certainly, is it my turn? I definitely would want if the opportunity is still there to present, and for the chairperson and the honorable members' purposes, I'm way beyond what I just want to check that which alphabet are we on? No. I pressed on this topic. It's E. Ne? We are on F, and obviously F. It's a big issue for me, and because of the significance of F, that's why I spent a lot of time to deal with those allegations that I have already comprehensively dealt with in Parliament, and unfortunately they were just growing. Now in the affidavit, as I was going through of Nkabinde, you look at page 7 to 8. 412. Nkabinde say, the extreme measures and means employed in bringing Lieutenant General Phahlane down was that IPID will be to obtain information unlawfully and formalize it later. Should there be any personal information required, it will be given to Paul O'Sullivan's assistant, Sarah Jane Trent, who will obtain the information unlawfully from her contact in TransUnion without following the processes. Now, I also, a lot has been said about me. There is a book by Paul O'Sullivan, Stop Me If You Can. Now, I'm just going to make reference to some parts of this book. In page 283, it will make it clear that when we talk about the capture of the criminal justice system and the control that Paul O'Sullivan wielded, is not only with the IPID, but in SAPS, as well as within the NPA. He's got obviously a well-decorated group within IDEC. General Mkhwanazi termed them the rogue unit. And I've got no reason not to agree with General Mkhwanazi. And I, somewhere in my statement, when I was interviewed, I said that rogue unit is led by Matthew Sissoko within the environment. Now, in Paulo Sullivan's book, it's page 283. Just to show, you will see there is a picture. I know it's very far. Now, in this picture, it's him, Paulo Sullivan. In the middle is an officer, a police officer in the Czech Republic, Prague. Next to him is, he was a colonel then, Brigadier Kininda, who's currently in the office of the National Commissioner heading the so-called cold case, cold case unit, the lead investigator in the Senzo Meyiwa case. That's him. But why am I bringing this to your attention? And that's not me who's writing, it's Mr. Paulo Sullivan. In a complaint, Kotsia laid out her evidence against Mono by describing the strange decisions Mono made on the Krecha case while still the head of detectives. She described an overseas trip planned by Major General Daiwe, Lieutenant Colonel Gininda, and Advocate Gaba of the NPA to meet with Jacob Nari. Remember I mentioned Jacob Nari, who was taken to London as a witness, allegedly. He's a 204 protection. So they are now going there to meet with Jacob Nari, the Section 204, who was then based in London. The team also made an application to visit Prague in the Czech Republic after the London meeting to meet with a witness I believe was important to the Krecha cases. Mono denied the application for Prague leg of the trip. Now, firstly, Mono happens to be a Lieutenant General, the divisional commissioner responsible for detectives. So if you want to know, he doesn't have authority to approve trips. He will recommend that the team of detectives is going there. His actions were deliberately detrimental to the case against Krecha, whom I believe he was trying to protect, and a prime example of the length he will go to in allegedly defeating the ends of justice. Now, this is important. I paid for Gininda and Graba's trip to Prague, where I met with them and introduced them to the police there. During this time, Kotsie was in contact with an informer who told her that I will be murdered in a subsequent trip to Prague. She relayed this information to Colonel Kininda, who told her to draft an official letter addressed to me to warn me of the threat. Now, it's been concocted there. Kininda must write an official letter. She was then to forward the email to him, to Kininda, and he will sign it and send it to me from his office email address. Remember, he's there in Prague. Obviously, he's got access to his email and so on. Kotsie alerted me to the threat in an SMS and then blind carbon copied the letter to me, assuming it to be the final signed letter. I sent it to Prague requesting police protection while there. He was asking protection to come here to this committee. The authorities there contacted Interpol and got through to Mono. Mono denied the existence of the threat and told Colonel Kininda not to send the final signed letter. So That's the extent. Remember, this person, Nari, is a 204 witness. Where is the declaration of him paying the trip from London to Prague and back to London? Here, management knows of Kininda and Taiwe and the advocate Gaba having went to London. They don't know about the Prague trip. And in here, it is clear also from his thing that they knew that the Prague leg of the trip was not sanctioned. It happened. So, in this book, the famous Phahlane house is here. This, I think, was it one of the members, I forget. What did he do when he came to my house? And I think General Mkwanazi, during his testimony, I can't remember whether it was here, he said he was surprised that years after my house was built, he has my house pictures from foundation as it progressed. He has those pictures, but here it is. There is something which I wanted. It's on page 17. Now, unfortunately, it also goes to what we refer to the media, third estate or fourth estate. Fourth estate refers to the fourth estate. When my family was safe, that's now O'Sullivan, I decided to ramp up the heat on Selebi. I decided to rain Selebi's 2007 Christmas by setting up an elaborate hoax. I contacted one of Selebi's police colleagues who did not like Selebi and told them that the DSO will be arresting Selebi at his home early the following morning. I also tipped off a few journalists. It was the only time I ever planted false data in the media. I received calls from two separate journalists asking me if I knew anything about an arrest warrant for Jackie Selebi. Of course, I knew one had been issued, but after the unlawful suspension of then National Director of Public Prosecutions, Vusi Bikoli, steps had been taken to cancel it. I told the journalist that I had also heard that something would happen early the next day at his house in Pretoria and that he will appear in court soon. The results were far better than I could have hoped for. That morning, at least 20 journalists were gathered outside Selebi's house and the police headquarters with their long lenses hoping for a shot of Selebi being taken away in handcuffs. It had a tremendous effect. The crooked chief of police must have felt so exposed while he was wrung his hands with worry, wondering whether or not his arrest was imminent. May Commissioner Selebi's soul rest in peace. This comes in O'Sullivan's book. You have got a dedicated chapter, Phahlane, there it is. So, Honorable Chair, I did not come here solely to respond to what the issues that Nkabinde was raising, because there is much more. We spoke earlier about the lady Sarah Jane Trent, an attorney of the High Court. This person happens to be the same complainant in the Ms. Duduzile Zuma is it Sambudla? Yeah. She is the one who is the complainant there. Now, is it ethical for attorneys to be behaving in this manner? In here, I've got an elaborate, I think it's And by the way, Chair, I'm triggered by the presentation or by the leading of evidence by my evidence leader to raise these things or to respond to these things. JKP 30, what page is it? JKP 30? 30. Yeah. 544. I'm still on the Phahlane task team, Chair. I did not go ahead of the evidence leader. 544, JKP 30. I think it goes until it's long. I'm not going to go through. Yeah, it goes up to 600. It's from 544 to 600. These are WhatsApp messages extracted from Sarah Jane Trent's phone when she was arrested by the team that did the investigation. That Camille Drift 12/1/2017. Now, in this, I'm just on page 545. In the middle there, you will see coming from Mandla, the late Mandla. He say, Ndlemesa should be next to be fired. Dash or dash DA. And there is on 546, again, Mandla, because they are reporting to the masters. We are seeing Phahlane tomorrow. You maybe have questions for him. So it's Mandla asking Sarah Jane Trent. We are seeing Phahlane tomorrow. You'll recall I spoke about a call that I received from Nkabinde on the 22nd of November, 2016. And the morning of 23 November 2016, when I received an SMS or a WhatsApp message from Peter Louis Mayberg, and the meeting which I was to honor with IP that afternoon, I had rescheduled because of other commitments. So this WhatsApp, when you look at it, it was from Mandla to Sarah Jane Trent on the 22nd, and it was around 2:38. And this is around the same time that I received a call from Gavinde asking for a meeting, which I said, please talk to my office. Now, Sarah Jane replies to him, check with Paul. I think it's Mandla. Check with Paul, please. Amazing. We'll send to you an email. So they will now go and formulate questions that must be that I must answer. I must answer to O'Sullivan. There is just a lot in this WhatsApp messages. By the way, here we only make visible that extract of what comes from Sarah Jane Trent's phone, and not the rest that was sourced following the approval of the Section 70 that I've referred to, including the recorded conversations. One of the things that happened here, Chair, was that the same threat assessment report by Crime Intelligence, McBride handed it to O'Sullivan. when O'Sullivan got to the office, he was celebrating that they have got the threat assessment. That is why in there, I think even in the presentation that the council was going through, he pretended that there was a threat assessment. What he did not know is that we have that threat assessment. In actual fact, the copy of the threat assessment is in this affidavit. If you could look for me, Johan, the threat assessment. There was also something I wanted to speak to. Sorry. What was it? 539. Thank you. Don't blame yourself. Oh yeah, here it is. There is a threat assessment which was done by crime intelligence. It was declassified here by General Mutiba. 542, comments and recommendations. 4.1, the intelligence gathered clearly indicated that this action is spearheaded by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan and is using IPID as background players. There is the recommendation which led to the appointment of the General Mabula team. Now, when they were celebrating, whoever at crime intelligence handed this threat assessment to them would have told them that it doesn't exist. This is the only copy. So this threat assessment, the original thereof, is with Paul O'Sullivan. You won't find it in the records at CI.
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I've seen so many names in this WhatsApp, and I guess, as you said earlier, that it will take a little bit of time. I think it's up to 5. You said up to 600. I've seen names, but you mentioned earlier when you had the book that there was a rogue unit. I didn't get it well. When you say rogue unit, were you saying rogue unit in the police or at IDEC or at SAPS?
Well, the one I know of, it was the Phahlane task team, which happens not to be in the police, but at IPID. That Phahlane task team has now been relocated. They are in IDEC. So that's the rogue unit that at least I can refer to. I know about the SAS rogue unit. I read about it, but no, I don't want to go there. This one in the space where I find myself in.
So, General, in other words, the names will get it later, perhaps, because we'll need those names as well.
No, Chair.
Besides this one, because I saw some names, the journalists, unless you say including them as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can do so. Those that I know.
Thank you, General.
But
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Bangazita.
Honorable Chairperson. Now, just a small question to the General, whether he also is aware that Mr. Nkabinde, when he appeared here, he also confirmed and attests to the existence of the Phahlane task team. Did you follow his evidence here?
I did, Chair, and it accords with his affidavit and the letters that he had presented to the Portfolio Committee of Police then and to the former Minister of Police. No, I'm aware, and that's why it is in a sworn statement coming from him, which I have access to. So, Chair, having said all this, I think I was just responding to IPID. There's an area which we need to traverse because it has got, the emails. And part of the reason why I'm under attack stemmed from those emails. So I did not hear the council talking to them.
Yeah. Let's go back to
Yeah.
the senior counsel and hear how he wants to lead you.
General Phahlane, is it my turn now? You're aware that because you reference it in your affidavit, that paragraph 159 on page 70, you say it is important to note that following the arrest of Paul O'Sullivan, Sarah Trent, Jane Trent, and at a later date, the two IPID investigators, Tamani Binang and Mandla Mashlangu, the late Mandla Mashlangu. Mandla was murdered, wasn't he? You know that.
Yes, Mandla was killed.
And another case of defeating the ends of justice was registered by Nkabinde at Pretoria Central SAPS. This case was registered following the Portfolio Committee session held on 16 May, which is where I last spoke. I spoke about that meeting. That was the joint meeting between you and McBride.
Yes, sir.
And you were responding all along to that meeting.
Up to date.
So you reference that now in his so the complainant was Nkabinde, and this is what he says in his affidavit, which was not placed before this committee, and he wasn't questioned about it when he gave his evidence. He says, and I'm paraphrasing, he's employed at IPID as the principal investigator attached to the National Investigative Task Team Head Office. I'm the complainant on behalf of the state in the case of defeating the ends of justice against the acting National Commissioner and others. I wish to state that during the approximate period between the 9th of November 2016 to the 10th of May 2017, our suspect in the corruption case, the acting National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Phahlane, he allegedly abused his powers by establishing a team from Northwest under the false pretenses of his security breach to counter our investigation and to interfere with our several witnesses in order for them to submit contradictory statements, which amounts to defeating the ends of justice. It is alleged that suspects are operating from Pretoria, where they summon all our witnesses and approach them to submit second statements which contradicts with their original statements submitted to the IPID investigators, which amounts to defeating the ends of justice. No one has the right to interfere with our witnesses to defeat the ends of justice. So that is what Mr. Nkabinde said. And he continued working at IPID until 2018, when there was an agreement to terminate his employment. And he then also subsequently submitted a report to then Minister Phahlane, which was placed before the Portfolio Committee, and where Nkabinde now had also made another affidavit, the one that you referred to and that you rely on. So those are the facts. It's not going to help us or me to debate this, but this is the person that we're dealing with, Nkabinde. As lead investigator for IPID, almost 2 years later in 2018, he changes his tune and he makes an affidavit in support of you, and he says that now McBride is the one who's abusing his authority.
Mm.
So that is also context. And I can leave it, and I want to leave it there. The fact of the matter, though,
No,
is
but, Chair, too many things must not be put to me. I must be allowed to
Phahlane, you
respond.
gave your evidence for more than almost 3 hours.
No, but you're introducing a new thing, and I must be
I'm
allowed to
just-
talk to
No,
me.
I'm reading to you from your affidavit.
Let's do like this. Let's do like this. Advocate Arendse and General Phahlane. I reminded you that this is a meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee.
Mm.
And this Ad Hoc Committee is made up of 11 members of Parliament. And the two of you are not members of Parliament. You can proceed.
Now, despite this visit, where it was alleged that, or you allege, you weren't there yourself when O'Sullivan and Ms. Trent was there with the iPad investigators. Is that right?
You're allowed to ask questions. I'll answer at the time where I've got an opportunity to do so. Because it looks like you were at my place. It looks like you know my place. And I really take offense, Chair. I have already traversed this issue, putting facts there. When I was asked about O'Sullivan and Mandla and Sarah Jane Trent being at my house, I think the honorable members ask here, I say, on that day, I was in Komhlanga. I said it here. I was in Komhlanga. I was launching the festive season campaign of the South African Police Service. I left Komhlanga and went to Limpopo. When I was in Limpopo, I got further calls. I don't know why must I be asked whether I was there. I was not there, and I placed it on
I don't
record.
know why you go on, you weren't there. I'm trying to establish a fact. Okay? I'm trying to establish a fact. The fact is that Trent was there, O'Sullivan was there, but other IPID officials, officers were also there. You don't know as a fact that O'Sullivan or Trent presented themselves to the security people at the gate or to people at your house that they are there as IPID members. They were accompanying IPID members. Now, another fact, a case was opened against them for impersonating IPID officers. Nothing has come, is it also a fact? Nothing has come of that case. They weren't prosecuted, certainly not successfully. And those allegations still hang in the air. So as a fact, it hasn't been established that they impersonated IPID officers. Or don't you accept that either?
Am I to respond? I'm asking, am I to respond now?
Yes, I'm putting it to you.
If
that
you allow me,
despite them
let me then
being
respond.
charged-
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm going to respond. I do not rely on hearsay. And I do not rely on narratives that are being peddled in the public domain that are uninformed. First, there is never a dispute that Nkabinde opened the cases. Under oath here, Nkabinde told you that this is what they were told to do. And having been told to do later, it's not before he opened the case, later, his conscience troubled him. And it is on that basis that he deposed not this affidavit. There is an affidavit in the docket which you say never saw its day. as a 204 witness. This is a different affidavit. He deposed the affidavit when he was opening case 123 of 11/2016. That's the defeating the ends of justice. I don't know whether you have it on your records. 2, he deposed an affidavit in this 534. Maybe this thing is giving feedback again, Chair. Can I move to this one?
The problem, the microphone may be part of the problem, not entirely. Both you and the microphone may be the problem. So, look, I want to request you not to be agitated.
No.
Just compose yourself, and then respond to the questions to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Remember when we started here, it was you who said we have gone through a marathon of consultations. And Chairperson, this time may not be adequate. I don't want to leave here. I don't want the committee to run through if I have to regurgitate the words that you used to run through my affidavit. I want to be given sufficient time and satisfy myself that justice has been due diligence. That is what you said. So we want to do that due diligence and just stay calm. Let me take Honorable Shonga. His hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to get a clarity on this narrative. The SC is trying to bring a narrative that says, or a question that says, what changed in Kabinde 2 years later? But at the same time, I'm taken back. When Kabinde was sitting there, he says, he deposited an affidavit opening the case again. And at one stage, when he was going for a hearing, McBride comes in that hearing. Then the status of the hearing changes. And it comes a settlement going forward. I would like to ask the General Phahlane here that in his thinking or in his own knowledge, what changed Kabinde's attitude, according to him? I just want to understand that, because from the essay, I'm getting a different narrative, which makes sense. But I also want to understand because according to my understanding, Kabinde says somehow it didn't work for 5 years. And that was because of the power that those guys had. And he never got any help from anybody. So that's why maybe it didn't continue with this thing. So I just want to understand that from the general's thinking. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. The only thing I know why Kabinde first this road to Parliament and to the ministers, I still remember his report is titled "The Unethical Conduct of the Executive Director, Robert McBride." I don't know what went into his head when he decided to go that route. Simply put, he was making a disclosure of the things that he said, I, Nkabinde, cannot be associated with. We were doing this for ulterior motives. He said it here before the committee. Now, I don't know why that question comes to me in a way from counsel.
No, General, don't question the question.
I'm answering, Chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the advocate asks you a question, you just respond to the question and don't attack the question.
So, am I allowed, Chair? His conscience is the only thing that I know bothered him. That's why he went and made the disclosures that he made. That's why even during the investigation by General Mabula, when he was approached, he, confessed and made a 204 statement that he had made to disclose whatever happened. It was later on that he deposed this affidavit that I have in here. Another affidavit that he deposed, that's why I say there are several affidavits that he did. First was the Camille Drift case 123 of 11/2017, the defeating the ends of justice. If you go and look at that docket, he is the one who deposed the affidavit to open that particular case. The second one is this 534 that I must now talk to because it's even in my affidavit. And I hear counsel talks about this 534. Me, I was never charged with case 534. The acting head, the acting divisional commissioner of crime intelligence was then charged on this case 534. The reason why they charged her, allegedly, they say when they were in the building, in the crime intelligence building, coming to obtain statements or interview witnesses, there was a lady, a white lady, I think either was a staff officer or a PA, I'm not sure. It is said, and I don't like hearsay, but that's what it is. It is said, General Machele, in closing the door, he kind of used a sign language which shows that that lady must not cooperate. She was arrested. The case went to court. She only appeared once. That case was struck off the roll because there was absolutely no basis for that particular case. Another thing in this 534 was the allegation that I appointed the Northwest people. And I say it in my affidavit, and it is there in General Mabula's affidavit, which is an annexure. It is there in Brigadier Ngube's affidavit, which shows who made those appointments. And I have testified to the effect that the appointment of General Mabula's team of detectives was by the acting divisional commissioner of crime intelligence after liaising with the provincial commissioner of the Northwest. But because there must always be Phahlane, I was targeted with this particular case. But that case, just like the one I'm told has never seen its day, this one has never seen its day in court, in as far as Phahlane is concerned, because he is not involved at all in this particular case.
Honorable Ngola and Honorable Matthys.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to appeal for fairness and consistency. We'll recall that the nature of the matters we are inquiring here are allegations that were taken to the public discourse. And Parliament is undergoing an inquisitorial process to get to the bottom of the matters. And we call witnesses here, Chair, on the basis of them assisting the work that we're doing as Parliament. And how we've been trying to extract information from the witnesses has never been that General Mkwana, as you say, so-and-so went to this house, give us the video of that visit. That General Sbia, you met with Brown Mohodzi in Clifton, give us the footage of that. We have always been acceptive of what the witnesses are said to us as they are willing to assist the process we're undergoing. And General Phahlane is on record here, almost the whole day, that I was not there. The security said this, this information and that. I think to a certain extent, Chair, although it is important to put a fact of law, but I think let's exercise restraint on aggression to that effect so that we're able to smoothly run the proceedings without having these altercations. Already now the proceedings of this day, Chair, are trending on the basis of an altercation between General Phahlane and Advocate Arendse. So I want to amplify your intervention, Chair. That they must
Both
tone
of
down.
them are not members of the National Assembly.
Exactly, Chair. That's exactly what I'm saying. That they must also assist their proceedings. And also, I think let us be consistent and be fair to all the witnesses that appear before the committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Matthys.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just a follow-up question. Our senior counsel asked a question about whether we know for a fact that they were impersonating IPED members. So my question is, in your experience, General, is it common practice for non-IPED or non-SAPS members to be accompanied by just citizens when they go in to do investigations? Is it something that is practiced both within the police, from what you understand? Because the line of questioning, even if they were not impersonating, the fact that they showed up, and we also have affidavits from various people confirming that they were there and they've sent SMSs. So I'd just like you to speak to that.
Even before you do that, through you, Chair, the complainant, is it a practice that the complainant can accompany IPED to go and investigate a person they are complaining about?
Respond,
General Phahlane.
honorable members, it is not allowed anywhere. Investigations are done by investigating officers. You can't even take an informer to go to a place and say, I'm busy with investigation. It is not allowed. And in my affidavit, Chair, I have made reference to the IPED Act. Oh, sorry. I know. Sorry for being a problem to the mic, Chair. Now, it is not allowed. Not in the police, not in IPED, and I have specifically quoted the IPED Act. Imagine you are having a complainant who was assault GBH, it's assault with grievous bodily harm. This person is bleeding and so on. Now you still want to take that person to the crime scene, further traumatizing that particular person. Now, unfortunately, in this case, O'Sullivan, it was not read by me, it was read by counsel. Somewhere they say he was a complainant because they say they got a complaint from pop crew members and from Paul O'Sullivan. So that makes him a complainant if indeed there is a sworn statement of him in any of the dockets which I'm yet to find. Maybe at some point the NPA will disclose that. And then he now also is an investigating officer. In some cases, he goes and writes, 205s or warrants for IPED. At some point, he's doing the analysis of cell phones and bank accounts and so on. It's found nowhere in the legal system.
we're reverting back to the senior counsel.
General Phahlane, I've also been in practice for a number of years. And I've also done my fair share of criminal matters. You've heard of pointing out in criminal matters.
Chair, I'm not going to respond to that one because it's an obvious thing in the police environment, in investigations.
And who does the pointing out?
Witness.
Witnesses. And how do they do it? They do it in the presence of the police. They do it in the presence of an investigating officer, especially a murder scene or where an offense was committed. In rape cases.
May you please get closer to the microphone? Yes, sir.
So witnesses, no, not only witnesses, but complainants. It depends obviously on the nature. I think we can agree it depends on the nature of the complaint, the nature of the charge that's been laid. That complainants and witnesses routinely accompany the police or a detective investigating a matter to a particular crime scene or pointing out.
SC. Chair, I will unfortunately not respond to that question
Okay, then we
because
can move on
I'm
if you don't want to
dealing
respond.
with the specific case here. Paul O'Sullivan at my place, Paul O'Sullivan being involved with IPIT, Paul O'Sullivan being a complainant, an investigating officer, and everything else that is there. The justification of that conduct, the attack on me, which I must sit through and be told it sounds okay, I will never respond to it.
So here's a complainant. He is Paul O'Sullivan. He's not the investigator because the matter is being investigated by IPIT. He goes and he goes with the IPIT investigators to your place to show them this is your place. And they take photographs of your place. What is irregular about that? I submit to you that there's nothing irregular about it. It is quite normal. I don't hold the brief. Let me be very clear. I don't hold the brief for O'Sullivan.
No, I have suspicions. I truly have suspicions.
Yes,
Chair,
that is the
I
truth
want
of evidence.
that
It's based
ST
on
to
speculation.
show me
suspicion.
one sworn affidavit in any of the dockets where Paul O'Sullivan is a complainant. One. I'm not asking for two. Show me one. Which case number?
Now, that is exactly the point, General Phahlane. You face a number of cases involving corruption, and I'm going to deal with it. And Mr. O'Sullivan is not the complainant. He's not a witness in those cases. This is a complete distraction in relation to those corruption charges that you are facing. It's not about O'Sullivan. It's about you.
Chair, I need protection, and I'm not going to respond to that,
Yes.
no matter
Yes.
how loud
Yes.
you ask that question.
I want us to do this. You
If I may move on from there. I think
no,
I've made my
before
point.
you move on.
Yeah.
What we want in these proceedings, honorable members, what we want in these proceedings, we want an evidence leader and a witness in these proceedings. That is what we want. An evidence leader and a witness. We don't want personalities. And I have said it many times. I thought you understood when we say the honorable members of this National Assembly are sitting here very patiently so that you can help us for these meetings to proceed. And we don't make judgments in this proceedings, Senior Counsel. We don't make judgments. If we bring a witness here to come and accuse him or her, I don't think it's a fair statement to make to say to the witness that this is not about Paul O'Sullivan, it's about you. That statement is misplaced. If there are questions that we want to put on General Phahlane for him to respond, or there are allegations of corruption against him, let's state the questions. You say, there is this allegation that you took 10 rand of the SAPS. What is your response? But to say to him that you are now trying to deflect attention from yourself to somebody is unfortunate. And I don't think the committee can agree to that. If there is any, and for sure, consciously you also understand that that statement does not belong here, because you even said it yourself that you don't hold a brief from O'Sullivan. Consciously or subconsciously, you understood that you said something that you were not supposed to have said. So I humbly request that if there are any allegations that we want to probe, allegations of corruption, let's state those matters and allow the general to respond as a belief. Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to make a follow-up question to the General. That when the IDEC and Paul O'Sullivan went to your house, because you got a call, as you articulated to us that you were in Wamhlanga and you went to Polokwane. Paul O'Sullivan, when he came to your house, he came as a complainant, or he came as we know now that he's in control of the IDEC and other state institutions in the security, like SAPS, IPAD, and I think it's not disputable now. Now, you said it very clear that it's unusual that a complainant, I guess the police as well, if they get the address, they don't need Paul O'Sullivan to accompany them anyway. Now, in your experience, because as you said, you started many years ago as a police constable, up to the rank where you are before you set home. You still insist that it is not common for, in particular in your case, I don't want to deviate from your case, Paul O'Sullivan went into your house for a particular reason. It was not about only taking pictures. It was about you, as he was boasted to say he has removed police commissioners in this country. What's your take on that?
Chair, I want to respond to that question by making reference to the IPID Act. And I'll answer it to the end. IPID Act, which is sitting on page 51 of my affidavit. Paragraph 1172, but I'm going to go straight to 2, which is there on page 51. A person appointed as an investigator must have at least a grade 12 certificate or a relevant diploma or degree. B, say must have knowledge and relevant experience of criminal investigation or any other relevant experience. 3, say any person may not be appointed as an investigator unless information with respect to that person has been gathered in an appropriate security screening investigation as prescribed by the minister. The security screening investigation contemplated in subsection 3 must be done in conjunction with the National Intelligence Agency as referred to in section 3 of the Intelligence Services Act of 2002. 5, say the executive director or official so delegated by him or her must issue a security screening certificate in respect of such person wherein it is satisfied that such a person has successfully undergone a security clearance and is appointed as an investigator in terms of this act. If Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has got a security clearance, that makes him an investigating officer. For a moment, forget that he's a complainant. But now you know that he has been investigating me, or he is the boss of IPIT and IDEC when they do investigations. I have testified, and there are affidavits to that effect. I went through Brigadier Ngube's affidavit, who was the investigating officer in the matter. I went through extracts of what the witnesses are saying. And these witnesses are saying, Paul O'Sullivan and Sarah Jane Trent were taking statements from them. That's what the statements are saying. If we forget for a moment that he's not an investigating officer, if the justification that when you do pointing out, blah, 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 you bring people, what kind of a pointing out is being done by somebody who purports to be a complainant and that person takes statements? I have testified to that effect. Now, of course, Chair, people have the right to accuse me, but let's go to court, whoever has got anything that they're accusing me of. And when I'm being told about the so-called corruption, I'm speaking to those issues in here.
Yeah, no,
We are still going there.
it's fine. Let's come back to the game. Advocate Arendse, you can proceed.
Yes, I want to be very specific. The two issues I want to speak to, the one is Kabinde, because he also gave evidence here. And the other one is this so-called security threat. I'm reading to you. It's clear that we're not going to finish, by the way. So this affidavit will be made available to you. This is an affidavit from a Lieutenant Colonel FHC Kruger or Krier. I don't know if you know this person. Franz Hendrik Christian Kruger states under oath, I'm a Lieutenant Colonel in the African Police Service, stationed at Crime Intelligence Head Office. Additional to my previous statement that he made on the 2nd of November, the following. Regarding paragraph 5 of my previous statement, I was informed that Paul O'Sullivan was with the members of IPID who visited the Sable Hill complex, that's your place, regarding an investigation against Lieutenant General Phahlane. I never recommended any further investigation into the quote-unquote security breach tasking we received. I was informed by a source that SAPS members from Northwest Province visited Sable Hill complex just after we left and before we even submitted the report. This is an affidavit which is dated and signed on the 24th of November 2017. This is shortly after this visit to your place. So that's the first issue. The other issue relates to Nkabinde. Again, a document you would be familiar with because it's your case that you brought. This is in the matter of, in the Gauteng High Court, Johannes Khomotso Phahlane, case number 8258/17, 2017. Phahlane versus Executive Director, Independent Police Investigative Directorate. First respondent, Paul O'Sullivan. Second respondent, Sarah Jane Trent. Third respondent, the Magistrate J.R. Nsatsi, nomine officio. Fourth respondent. I'm reading to you from a supplementary affidavit of Robert John McBride, where he says at paragraph 3, I've read Phahlane's supplementary affidavit, which was deposed to on 21 August 2018, and the supporting affidavit of a former IPID investigator, Mr. Cedric Nkabinde, deposed to on the 24th of July 2018. I respond to both here under. The heading is the alleged quote-unquote new information about IPID's investigation of Phahlane. Phahlane contends in paragraphs 8.7 to 8.13 of his supplementary affidavit that quote-unquote new information has emerged that quote-unquote corroborates his case, that IPID's investigation against him is, and then he puts it in quotation mark, an orchestrated effort from the side of the Executive Director, Mr. Robert McBride, to undermine me and to destroy my career in full collaboration with the second and third respondents in this matter. The quote-unquote new information that Phahlane has produced is in Nkabinde's affidavit, which contains extravagant and utterly false allegations about me and IPID's National Task Team for Special Investigation, hereinafter referred to as a task team, which is charged with investigating Phahlane amongst others. Nkabinde purports to detail the quote-unquote ongoing unethical conduct in IPID's investigation of Phahlane, including, for instance, that it is quote-unquote spearheaded by Mr. O'Sullivan, that I personally instructed the task team to, quote, damage the image of General Phahlane in order for him not to be confirmed as the permanent National Commissioner, close quotes, that IPID's investigation against Phahlane is part of an elaborate plot, quote, to usurp the power of the entire security cluster, unquote. These allegations and most others in Nkabinde's affidavits are pure fabrications. No evidentiary weight or credibility can, I submit, be attached to the affidavit. My denial of Nkabinde's allegations is substantiated below and is supported by statements made under oath from members of the IPID's task team who have personal knowledge of the facts. The context in which Nkabinde's affidavit was produced is also crucial in appreciating its lack of veracity and credibility. Nkabinde produced the affidavit shortly after disciplinary measures were taken against him at IPID. Those disciplinary measures were taken after I learned that Nkabinde was approached by SAPS members seeking to obstruct IPID's investigation against Phahlane, but had failed to disclose this fact when called upon to do so. From what has transpired, it is evident that Nkabinde was indeed persuaded to assist Phahlane to obstruct and undermine IPID's investigation against him. If there has been any calculated, quote, orchestration, unquote, in this matter, it is between Phahlane and Nkabinde. Phahlane attests that on or about 24 July 2018, his attorneys were contacted by Nkabinde's attorneys and furnished with Mr. Nkabinde's affidavit, quote, for possible use in the pending litigation, unquote. It is clear from its heading and contents that Nkabinde's affidavit was drafted specifically to serve as a supporting affidavit for Phahlane in this application. Nkabinde is no longer employed by IPID. He was placed on precautionary suspension on 4 June 2018, whereupon IPID commenced disciplinary proceedings against him. Nkabinde's disciplinary hearing was scheduled to commence on 19 September 2018, but the parties reached a settlement on that day. Under the settlement, Nkabinde agreed to resign from IPID Nkabinde also formally withdrew his complaints against IPID. I attach a copy of the settlement agreement and refer to paragraph 4, which reads, the employee forthwith withdraws all of his complaints and any statements related to those complaints, and the protected under the Labour Relations Act and the Protected Disclosures Act. Without limiting the generality of the foregoing, the employee hereby withdraws his complaints to the public protector, any complaints to any ministers, parliament, or any of his referrals against the employer whilst in the employ of the employer to any forum, including any bargaining council, and undertakes to inform the said forums no later than 21 September 2018 to furnish proof to the employer thereof by 21 September 2018. If he fails to do so, the employer shall have the right to inform the said forums of this agreement. Nkabinde has therefore retracted his complaints against IPID and has agreed that this should be conveyed to the relevant authorities. Against this background, I proceed to detail the facts of Nkabinde's departure from IPID. I then address the main allegation in Nkabinde's affidavit on which Phahlane relies. In support of what is stated here, I attach sworn statements from members of IPID's task team, which were obtained in response to Nkabinde's letter to the Minister of Police. That's the one to Minister Phahlane of 28 April 2018. The allegations made in that letter are now repeated in Nkabinde's affidavit. The sworn statements are from the following IPID members: Matthew Sissoko, the National Head of Investigations at IPID and Head of the Task Team; Ambulani Innocent Kuba, Chief Director and Provincial Head of IPID, Limpopo, and Project Manager of the Task Team; Mandlakayisi Mashlangu, Principal Investigator of the Task Team; Mansha Rapetsu, a Principal Investigator on the Task Team; Abram Tamani Binang, a Principal Investigator of the Task Team; Ms. Teresa Botha, Deputy Director and Member of the Task Team. Then he says that I also attach sworn statements from members of SAPS and other persons named in Nkabinde who all deny his allegations. Brigadier Bamuza Petty, P-H-E-T-H-E, a member of the SAPS technical team; Ms. Candice Kutsi, a member of the SAPS Crime Intelligence Division; Gladwin Mafuna, an intelligence officer employed by the State Security Agency, who is seconded to IPID as a VIP protection officer to the Executive Director; Petro Heinika, Forensic Liaison Manager at Vodacom; Brigadier Shlungwani, a member of SAPS Crime Intelligence; Brigadier Dumusani Chili, member of South African Crime Intelligence Division. Then he deals with Nkabinde's departure from IPID. In 2016, Nkabinde, who was then a principal investigator, was appointed as a member of the task team that I established to investigate the then acting National Commissioner Phahlane. During or about mid-March 2018, I learned that certain members of SAPS, including Brigadier Khomotso and General Banazi from SAPS Crime Intelligence, had approached members of IPID's task team, including Mr. Nkabinde, promising them a promotion in SAPS Crime Intelligence if they agreed to give false statements implicating me and other senior IPID members involved in investigating Phahlane. On 16 April 2018, I convened a meeting with the members of the task team to deal with the unlawful approaches that had been made by SAPS. At this meeting, I asked members of the task team to disclose whether any member of SAPS had made unlawful offers that would compromise IPID's members. Mr. Mashlangu raised his hand and confirmed that he had been so approached. Mr. Nkabinde did not disclose that he had been approached. In a separate meeting, Mr. Mashlangu advised me and Mr. Sissoko that he had also spoken to Nkabinde about the approach from SAPS Crime Intelligence. Mr. Mashlangu advised us that Nkabinde had told him that he had also been approached by SAPS Crime Intelligence and had said that he would prefer to work for SAPS because he did not feel appreciated at IPID. He refers to the sworn statement of Mashlangu, and he also then refers to the sworn statement of Brigadier Pamuza Pete of the SAPS Technical Unit. She says, quote, Mr. Kabinde had also informed me that General Ngobo promised him a brigadier post in return to bring Mr. McBride down. Mr. Kabinde would always be giving contradictory information. Now I know it was because he made up stories. On 23 April 2018, Mr. Sissoko sent a letter to Nkabinde advising him that information at IPID's disposal indicated he had been approached by members of SAPS with a view to giving information about IPID's investigations and management. Then he attaches a copy of the letter. Mr. Sissoko stated he had decided to release Kabinde from the task team until the Phahlane investigation was concluded. 4 days later, Kabinde addressed a letter to the Minister of Police dated 28 April. In this letter, Kabinde leveled the same allegations of unethical conduct against me and other persons that appear in his affidavit. Then he attaches Kabinde's letter. On 25 May, Mrs. Pabaiki Maharaj notified Kabinde of IPID's intention to suspend him on 4 June 2018. He was placed under precautionary suspension. Upon being suspended, Kabinde claimed that I had committed an occupational detriment in contravention of the Protected Disclosures Act by placing him on precautionary suspension in response to his letter to the minister. The claim was disputed and it was denied that Nkabinde made any disclosures to the minister in good faith. Kabinde's hearing was scheduled to convene on 19 to 21 September 2018. At the commencement of the hearing, Kabinde approached me and proposed to settle the dispute by resigning, in return for which IPID would withdraw the disciplinary inquiry and all related charges against him. In addition, Kabinde instructed his legal representatives to confirm his proposal in writing. And then he deals at length. He says Nkabinde's allegations are false. He deals with it paragraph by paragraph, and he explains that all the material allegations are false and are clearly contrived to undermine me and IPID's investigation against Phahlane. We will make this affidavit available to you and your legal team, and you can deal with it. So what I do want to ask General Phahlane is, this case of yours, what was the outcome?
Which case?
Sorry, maybe I can give you the answer. It's in your affidavit. Thank you, Maria. On at paragraph 219 on page 89. Another issue that excited both Messrs. McBride and O'Sullivan was my alleged acquisition of a music system through corrupt means, as referenced by Mr. Poe in his book. In the matter pending before court under case number 8258, it's the same case, 2017, I have a next compelling evidence to prove that I paid for the music system from my personal Nedbank bank account.
Is it my turn to respond?
Yes, please. I asked what was the outcome? Was this case ever concluded? Was there a judgment, or did you withdraw the case or abandon the case?
Honorable Chair, honorable members, firstly, that which was read now was never disclosed yet to me. Earlier, I was showing there is what was referred to as an evidence file, which was disclosed just before we commenced this session. I had not went through it, just as I said the documents in there are not necessarily foreign. I know them. That is my case. But let me now respond to that issues. I'm not narrowly going to respond to what is the outcome of the case because allegations are being made here. I go back to my affidavit, page 73. One of the things that was mentioned, it's a Kruger. I don't know who Kruger is, but Chair, just for the benefit of the members, when you talk about the kennel, you talk about the deputy director. So up there, the director general, who happens to be the national commissioner, is a general. That's a level 16. Then you come down, lieutenant general. That's all these deputy national commissioners, provincial commissioners, and divisional commissioners. Deputy director generals, lieutenant general. So from national commissioner, that's the first level. You move there, you come to major general. That's a chief director, level 14. From there, you move to brigadier, which is director in the public service, level 13. That's where SMS, members of senior management services, start, not only in the police, but in the public sector. A colonel, I was just hearing a colonel Kruger. I'm not sure whether it's a lieutenant colonel or a colonel. If it is a full colonel, that's a salary level 12, deputy director in the public service. If it is an assistant director, who will also be a colonel because it's a lieutenant colonel, that's an assistant director level 10. So now I hear there is a Kruger. At the time, I happen to be the acting national commissioner. I am not the divisional commissioner, crime intelligence. The divisional commissioner, crime intelligence, at the time, was an acting divisional commissioner. It's Major General Mahele. Under her command would have been other major generals and a brigadier. There is here, JKP 30, a threat assessment. Actually, JKP 29, sorry. If you look at that, sorry? 539. But there is reference also,
J, what's it? J?
no, 29.
Yeah,
It is
JK.
also on
29.
74. It's on page 74. And here it is as JKP 29. This threat assessment is signed by the section commander counterintelligence, which means that person is responsible for threat assessment, Colonel S.H. Haine. The next person, Brigadier T. Moyane. Moyane writes in his comment is, this is a serious breach of the security of the acting national commissioner and need a criminal case to be investigated on the matter. This must be conducted as soon as possible. So, I don't know where Kruger fits. And why must I be responding to a Kruger that I've not even seen? That's the first thing. Now, I'm going back to the affidavit, Honorable Chair, for the sake of me explaining to the committee. Council referred to Nkabinde's affidavit. I've went through that particular affidavit. What is it, JKP? affidavit of Nkabinde. Now, Nkabinde happened to have been here before this committee. He happened to have spoken about, what made him to leave, what were the circumstances and all that. I'm definitely the wrong person to speak on behalf of Nkabinde. I can only talk to what is under oath from him, which is contained in the affidavit that I dealt with earlier. (173) of my affidavit, that's paragraph on page 74. Upon the conclusion of the threat assessment, the acting divisional commissioner, crime intelligence, requested the provincial commissioner Northwest to avail an investigation team to investigate the security threat on me. I had no role in the appointment. I don't know how Kruger looks like, what his responsibilities are. I am not the manager who micromanages. And if Kruger had a view, which he expressed in the affidavit that I haven't seen, that is now being tabled here before the committee, I really have little to do with that affidavit. I think Mr. Kruger is better positioned. Which threat assessment did he conduct? Because here is the threat assessment based on which a criminal investigation was conducted, following which a case was opened and people appeared in court. Now, I did hear, it seems as if there is a story around that case. Mr. McBride never assured me that any investigation into my alleged misconduct or corruption will be legally and ethically conducted. Instead, a desperate Robert McBride directed that a case of defeating the ends of justice against me be registered on the 21st of November 2016 under Camille Drift case 123-11-2016. The actions of Robert McBride in this defied logic, and thus the NPA declined to prosecute. That's the first case that Nkabinde opened. I have testified to this effect, but it's been repeated. Mr. O'Sullivan, that's paragraph 175. Mr. O'Sullivan is purportedly a private investigator, not employed by IPIT in terms of Section 22 of the IPIT Act. It boggles my mind why a complainant registered a complaint against me. At the same time, the very same complainant becomes a key person in leading and assisting the investigations, in leading the investigators in performing their statutory investigative duties against me. Worse, he has the nerve to impersonate an IPIT investigator together with an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa, Sarah Jane Trent, in terms of which provision of the IPIT Act or policy was Mr. O'Sullivan and Ms. Trent allowed to play the role he played or is playing in my investigation by IPIT. I annexed here to instant messages, WhatsApp between Mandla and Sarah Jane Trent, extracted from the latter's cell phone, seized during her arrest. For ease of reference, I annexed here to marked JKP 30. If attaching them and maybe just referencing to one or two things is not enough, let me go through all of them. It is inconceivable why Mr. McBride, as the accounting officer of IPIT at the time, dismally failed to ensure that any investigation against me was carried out in terms of the provisions of the IPIT Act and regulations. There is nothing special about me. If there are any allegations against me, just as there will be allegations against any ordinary South African, they need to be investigated. But I do think there's something wrong if the conduct of McBride and O'Sullivan and the Phahlane task team is to be condoned. I wonder why the minister did not terminate this task team. Maybe he forgot because they never told me about it. It should have been immediately terminated. Someone must ask how much money was used by these people. They continue to refer to the Phahlane, to the team that led the investigation of 4 or 5 people from the Northwest, General Mabula, as the Northwest team. The Phahlane task team was comprised of people from Limpopo, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, Free State, and wherever else, including the Honorable Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. I have never in the past 9 years since January 2016 endured vicious attack and an onslaught on my character, integrity, and family from Paul O'Sullivan at the behest of Robert McBride. This included senior managers in the South African Police Service who are in cahoots and are beneficiaries of this well-orchestrated destructive program of action. In memory of the late Commissioner Selebi and my colleague and friend Lieutenant General Shaun Chabalala, I'm resolute and continue to walk tall in the face of the storm unleashed against me. I refuse to sell my soul. There is no way I would have sold the South African Police Service and handed it to a foreigner, Paul O'Sullivan, for his own interest. If that is a crime, I will go to jail for it. Chair, in dealing with this, what was put to me on 179, paragraph 179, on the 31st of January 2016 at 12:16 p.m., I received the first of over 80 emails from Paul O'Sullivan. I wish those emails are not withheld from the members of this honorable house. They must be shared. A foreigner in my life who I cannot be associated with. The email with subject criminals under your command in brief read, Dear Sir, Pierre was clearly a criminal in that she unlawfully and intentionally tipped Mono off that he was under the spotlight for corruption and more serious crime of defeating the ends of justice by protecting crime syndicates and kingpins. He's saying so because Mono was not supporting his agenda in the Krecha matter. She flatly refused to suspend him or take any action against him whatsoever, despite mountains of evidence that he is corrupt. This email is attached as JKP 31, being a message from Paul O'Sullivan. 180, the first email received from Paul O'Sullivan on 31 January was followed by 6 others, with the last one at 9:18 p.m. That is on the same date. I mean, that first one came 12:16 p.m. The last one on that date came 0918. The email with the subject Mono received at 0313 p.m. had lines that reads, we also attach a copy of our letter addressed to her predecessor and know that she did not even give us a courtesy of a reply. In the absence of any response from you, our client will take unilateral action in the public interest aimed at preventing criminalization of the South African Police Service. That email is attached as JKP2. On 3 February 2016 at 11:49 p.m., I received an email with the subject Mono damage control needed now from O'Sullivan, which amongst others read, if you did not take action against Mono now, I will shift my focus like I did to Pierre last year. I have started a process already which will leave you all reeling from what I have uncovered. I mean reeling. I will prove beyond reasonable doubt that Mono is a gangster protected by the hierarchy of the police. Take action before the weekend. or see the application launched next week and the systematic corruption exposed. That email is JKP 33. On 5th February 2016 at 11 p.m., an email received amongst others read.
Let's do it like this, and I think those 3 emails that you have alerted to, we can take them as a sample and say,
Okay.
the rest of the emails are up to page so and so in my, because you can imagine if we are going to sit here, you take us through every email.
Well, Chair, in actual fact, I'm not taking you through the 80 emails, but those emails, I've made them available. One reason why I made the 80 plus emails there is because some of the members of this house are in those particular emails. So I hope that they are being made accessible.
Well, it's fine. Let me take Honorable Ngola and Honorable Sam. You know, you must not frighten my members.
Thank you very much, Chair.
There is none of your honorable members who are in those emails.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I think I'm getting a different angle from what I initially believed was happening. One would have initially thought that the alleged visit by Mr. O'Sullivan and IPT officials was a clandestine operation, a plot, and all those things. Now, I want to check with General Phahlane. Are you saying, is it your evidence that when this visit happened to the estate where you lived, the IPT officials were conducting an official investigation on behalf of the state?
Allegedly so, because remember I say there was a so-called affidavit, and I see council has got access to some of this. I don't think I included it here, but I know it is in those 80 emails because at some point he sent it to me, which mentions all other people, and then I'm one of the people that are being thrown in there because somewhere he will call me a Zupta person. So I'll be linked to the former president and everyone, people like the former minister, wide range of issues that are being raised, including SAA issues with the late Medudu Muyeli, and so on. So that's the kind, that affidavit is, if it is an affidavit, it's long. So it is based on that the former acting executive director of IPT, Isaac Khamanyani, once he received that email, which, by the way, the email did not point to me. It did not come as a complaint about me. He then appointed the investigators. One of them was Brigadier Khomotso. There was, I think there were 2 or 3 people that he appointed. They then went to O'Sullivan to obtain a statement because now he was starting to zooming on me. He never deposed that affidavit, which made that investigation not possible. It is that which McBride took from the IPT members, Brigadier Khomotso and so on. And after removing them, he now establishes the IPT, the Phahlane task team. So these people that are now coming with O'Sullivan to the estate are now the members of the Phahlane task team, accompanied by O'Sullivan and Sarah Jane Trent. At that point, there is no case opened against me. The only case that surfaces, remember I say McBride came to office 18 October 2016. The only case that was opened, the very first case, is the 21st of November 2016 by Nkabinde. That is that defeating the ends of justice case. So those guys, I take it that they would have taken over now from Brigadier Khomo, and now they are coming with the so-called complainant slash whatever to come and do investigation. So I won't say they were not busy with an official investigation because it is within their mandate to
Okay.
investigate any such.
Okay, let's assume the worst and say it was not a boys' trip. It was an official investigation. As an experienced police official, is it legally permissible for private individuals to actively partake in an official investigation and the work of IPID when there is a complaint? And also, to what extent do complainants get involved in the investigation of IPID? Let's say I'm a complainant. To what extent do I get involved in the investigation against the person that which has been complained against? Thank you.
Chair, while I was never in my life an IPID investigator, and I don't wish to be one, I have at least visited the IPID Act, which tells me that which was happening was illegal. It is for that reason I even in responding to earlier, I said, anyone who has got the security clearance of Paul O'Sullivan must show me, because then it will only be after he passed his security clearance that maybe he could have been appointed. I'm not sure how old it is, at least how old he is. At least in the police, there is a cutoff age of recruits. So, based on my experience and based on the law, it is not permissible. It is not permissible.
Honorable Sangon.
Thank you very much, Chair. General Phahlane, I'm a bit confused. Maybe just help us with the chronological order. I mean, I've gone through the statement, the affidavit, and I'm still confused. These emails that Paul O'Sullivan sends to you, is it before or after these concoctions of complaints? When did your problems with Paul O'Sullivan start? Which comes first? So is the visit to your house the investigation as a result of the fact that you did not do what he said you would do, remove Munu and all of that? Can you just take us through how that plays out? Thanks. I'm sorry, I just missed it.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, honorable members. What started first were the emails. January 2016. I was returning from leave. That festive season, we had one of the greatest policing operations where zero crime was committed because of the deployment and the approach that we have adopted. So I took few days in January as a break. When I returned to office, I think it would have been in the second week. I first received a WhatsApp message on my phone. I say, I'm Paul O'Sullivan. May you please provide me with your email address? So I know I've been in the service even when Commissioner Selebi went through what he went through. And I said, this is not the character that I'm going to be associating with. I never responded to that SMS. 2 weeks down the line, as you would have noted, I say the first emails, I received them 31st of January 2016. That's when I started receiving emails. Somebody or he was able to get my email from wherever. And the crux of it, he's saying to me, I must suspend General Munu I must have General Munu dismissed. I must have him sent to prison. So somewhere, something tells me, but no one can direct me to do so. If you have got a complaint, register a complaint, go to the police station, register, let it be investigated. If there is criminality by General Munu, he will be dealt with. Even if you go to IPT, he will be dealt with. But simply to come to me and say, arrest him, dismiss him. And by the way, I just hope my team assist me here. There are two affidavits, one by McBride, the other one by Paul O'Sullivan himself, where he is withdrawing a case that he had opened against General Munu. So the strange thing to me is, when I only see this later, that you are saying to me, I must arrest this person, but the case that you opened against him, you have withdrawn it. In that withdrawal, there is a lack of a better word, a testimonial by McBride.
Sorry, General, I'm going to stop you because we're running out of time.
Okay.
But everything that then happened subsequently, it happened when you did not. So this was him fulfilling his threats. Is that your testimony?
Is
Okay.
starting January. Remember, I said the cases started coming after October, after McBride returned to office, and then it escalated from there onwards.
Thank you so much. SC.
Give. Yeah. But General Phahlane, you don't tell the committee, because I'm going to take you to it, perhaps not this evening, but when we reschedule your next hearing, that these cases involving corruption have been brought against you and that they are in court.
Which cases?
I'll deal with it because I don't want to be distracted. Let me refer to, you can flag it. I'm not going to duck it. Let me refer you to the annexure you referred the committee to on the what's it, 29, JKF on page 539 to 540. This is the information report on which you rely. The report, 539.
539.
Annexure, your annexure 29. This is a report of possible security breach. Acting National Commissioner Lieutenant General Phahlane. Purposes to inform the head counterintelligence security intelligence head office with regard to the outcome of the intelligence gathered action conducted at Stable Hill Estate. Introduction and background, and then if I can just take you to page 543, these are the comments and recommendations. Comments and recommendations. The intelligence gathered clearly indicated that this action.
Oh, okay. 4.4.
Yes,
Okay. I was looking
4.1.
for it. Yeah.
The intelligence indicated clearly that this action is spearheaded by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, and he's using IPID as background players. Your further instruction in this regard is awaited. There's no comment or recommendation that this constitutes a security threat. In fact, if you go to the comments of what is it called, the report right on page 541, they interviewed a Mr. Jooste. Jooste is the estate manager. They interviewed Mr. Jooste, the estate manager, and the security manager, Fruk van der Walt. This is on the 9th of November 2016. Fruk van der Walt was contacted by security personnel at the service gate entrance of Savory Hill Estate and informed that there are police officials who want to enter the premises. Van der Walt referred them to the main gate where one official identified himself as a member of IPID and informed him that they are busy with an investigation against Lieutenant General Phahlane. They were driving a white Ford Kuga with registration number so-and-so. It's registered in the name of O'Sullivan. Mr. Van der Walt escorted them to the estate manager. They introduced themselves as Paul, Sarah, and Mr. Mashlangu, who handed Mr. Jooste a business card. Mr. O'Sullivan informed Mr. Jooste that they are investigating allegations regarding defeating the ends of justice against Lieutenant General Phahlane and need the file regarding the plans of Stand 53 Sable Hills, where Lieutenant General Phahlane was refusing to assist a police investigation, and they will serve a notice to produce evidence. Mr. Jooste let them take cellular phone pictures of the plans of the house. Sullivan requested the name of the building contractor. Then on the 13th of November, Jooste received an email from O'Sullivan, whereby O'Sullivan requested him not to disclose any information regarding the investigation to anybody. On the 13th of November, he received another email from O'Sullivan, whereby Jooste was requested to send another picture of the first floor plan of General Phahlane's house, as the picture they took was fuzzy. He also requested full-size drawings. On the 16th of November, Mr. Jooste received a call from Lieutenant General Phahlane, who requested him not to give any documentation pertaining him or his residence to any investigators. Lieutenant General Phahlane also instructed the security manager to block any person who wants to go to his house without consulting with him first. On the 18th of November, Paul O'Sullivan and Mr. Mashlangu met with Mr. Jooste and handed him a notice to produce evidence. Mr. Jooste also gave Mr. Mashlangu a sworn statement in this regard. Now, comments from the writer. Mr. Jooste indicated that Paul O'Sullivan never indicated to him that he is not a police official. Due to Paul O'Sullivan's body language and attitude, he believed that O'Sullivan was a police official. He also mentioned that O'Sullivan made sure that he saw the firearm that he was carrying. Jooste only realized that O'Sullivan was not a police official when Lieutenant General Phahlane informed him. Mr. Jooste also mentioned an incident that took place at the estate on the 15th of October, when a resident of the estate, Mr. Johan Olivier, and driver was refused access to the estate because he didn't have the necessary documentation. Mr. Olivier lost his temper and ran down the boom at the estate. Brigadier Phahlane, wife of Lieutenant General Phahlane, had him arrested by the bodyguards of Lieutenant General Phahlane, but the charges against Olivier was withdrawn. He was fined 20,000 rand by the homeowners. After the media coverage of the allegations against Lieutenant General Phahlane, Mr. Jooste alleged that Mr. Olivier boasted, and made remarks that he is the one who gave information to Paul O'Sullivan. According to Mr. Olivier, he is receiving all the information from Lieutenant General Phahlane's daughter, who is sending the photos and information to his son. They're attending the same school. Mr. Jooste also indicated a picture of Lieutenant General Phahlane's house, which he saw in the media, was taken from the front of Lieutenant General's house. Photos of the back of the house can be taken from the main road outside the security. And then those comments and the recommendations which I read to you. There's nothing in this official report which indicates that this constitutes a security threat.
Chair, I know I'm not an honorable member, but
No, Chair, just before the general.
Honorable Malema, Honorable Skosan.
General, where they were making you to read comments and recommendations, down there, there is a comment that is handwritten. Can you please read it aloud for me?
Thanks, Honorable Malema. I actually read this earlier because this is my
No,
evidence.
in this context, can you read it again?
So this is a serious breach of the security of the acting national commissioner and need a criminal case to be investigated on the matter. This must be conducted as soon as possible.
So how is that not a security threat on a senior police officer? How is that not right to be a security threat on a national police officer? Is that not a way of saying there is a threat on the life of the acting national police commissioner? Is that your understanding? Because that's my understanding.
That's exactly my understanding, and I'm being told I'm relying on it. I did not have to rely on this document because in the first place, it's not addressed to me. And the investigation that was done, the criminal investigation, is informed by this report. That's why I earlier said, I don't know. It was for that reason that I said there's Lieutenant General, blah, blah, blah. You get to a colonel. I was told about a Colonel Kruger here that I don't even know. But here is the report, which council selectively reads and exclude the comments which are in there to the person that it was addressed to, because this thing is addressed to the acting head, counter and security intelligence, crime intelligence, and to the section commander, counterintelligence investigations, crime intelligence. So it is there.
No, Chair. I raised this issue because it was deliberately left out, but there's a comment which I wanted to bring to your attention, which the SC made to the general, that there are cases, and the general asked the question, which cases, and he said, I'm going to come back later on those issues, maybe on another day, leaving that dark cloud hanging. Because if he had a case to raise, that there's a case opened against the general, you can't make a sweeping statement like that and leave it. The second point I want to register is that his attitude against the general is so bad. It's not of a person who's leading evidence. We are members of parliament. And then general responds to the attitude of our leader of evidence. I've never seen him do anything like that to any witness that came before us here. We might have issues with general. If we have issues, let's raise them in a professional manner and not in a manner that we invite a person to come and help us here and get to humiliate him in a manner he's being humiliated. He's just being very kind. If it was me on the other side, this thing would have stopped long time ago.
Though it would be unfair for me to ask that because I was waiting for the evidence leader. Because when he opened, he said, it's close that there's cases against him. Now, after I think we started on page, I'm still waiting. I think the evidence leader read 3 pages. I'm still lost. Said he's going to read to the general. Maybe I didn't hear him well, but I think that's what he's.
Chair, if I'm to respond, I don't know. I traversed the issue of the blue lights.
General, are you undergoing any criminal trial currently?
Yeah, and I want for
That is the simple question that these honorable members are asking.
Sullivan Ohu, let's go to court. This is not the platform. Other cases is he talking of? Because if you go to P in my affidavit, procurement of blue lights, Gauteng Province, Hillbrow Crest, 789. I'm referring to it there. Somewhere I think,
Yeah. Yeah. The risk who came here is very common in the police service.
it's close to immediate. Bring it on.
No. Honorable Shaw,
SAPS unit.
and it is not reporting about itself, it is reporting about an individual outside the SAPS.
It is what it is. Colonel Haine and Brigadier Tom Moyani, or Brigadier Moyani are the ones who drafted this report.
And the report confirms that this citizen was part of those operations.
The foreign.
Whether it's a foreign citizen or what, but this report confirms
It
that
does,
he was part of this police operation,
it does, Chair, because
that he was even there at your house and everything.
4.1, which
Yes.
Council read, say the intelligence gathered clearly indicate that the action is spearheaded by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan and is using IPIT as background players.
No, I just wanted to confirm that. Remember, part of our terms of reference is to investigate interference by members of the public in the affairs of the SAPS. And when you have your own officers writing a report, but mentioning Lekganyane many times in their report, then they would mention themselves as SAPS officers, it's very, very concerning. Honorable members, it is 5 minutes past 21 hours. And I'm at a point where I think we should proceed. No? No. Let's do this. Like we said when we started, that the committee is going to have a meeting on Monday. We haven't scheduled appearances on Monday. We will have a committee meeting to discuss our matters, and we will reallocate a day or whatever number of days we decide on for your reappearance, General Phahlane. But in the period between now and the date of your reappearance, yourself and the evidence leader, you need to get closer to each other. The observation of the honorable members is correct that we were very rusty today. We were very rusty. Our rhythm might have been affected by the Christmas break. So when we come back for your reappearance, you must have dealt with these issues with the legal team, so that we have a smooth cruise in our work. SC, can I check if you have any comments that you want to make before we close?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just in relation to the issue raised by Honorable Malema, what I was referencing was that the officers, the intelligence or counterintelligence officers who were tasked by the head, Motiba, to conduct the investigation and whether or not there was a threat, they did not find. You're right, and perhaps I was not fair to read the handwritten, but because General Motiba then records that this is a serious threat. He is not the one who conducted I was referring to the officers who conducted the investigation and reported to him. And the head of intelligence then concluded, yes, it does constitute a threat. So I don't have an issue, and there was no intention to mislead. And if there was, then I apologize. Otherwise, yes, Chair, we agreed that we'll hold over. I think you said, will it be on Monday? And we will make further attempts with General Phahlane and his legal team to try and streamline the proceedings as best we can.
The next date of appearance is not Monday.
Oh.
Monday is the date for a committee meeting, which will decide, will look at the schedule and make a decision when the next appearance will be. General Phahlane.
Okay. We must make it very clear that it's going to be virtual. If we want it to work on Monday, it has to be virtual.
You mean the committee meeting?
Our committee meeting. Yeah.
No, the committee meeting will be virtual. This is a very hectic year. We need to afford you the time that you need. Yeah, your hand was up.
Sorry, Chair, I just want to correct. It's not General Mutiba wrote no report.
Eh?
General Mutiba wrote no report.
No, General. Look, we said that you and the evidence leader.
No, but Chair, how do I live here creating the impression that there is something that General Mutiba did, which is not correct? All I'm correcting is that General Mutiba never wrote any report. General Mutiba never worked in crime intelligence, only in his capacity as an acting
When you
national
say-
commissioner.
When
He
you say
declassified
when you say
the document.
never wrote any report, what do you mean?
I'm
Because
referring
you
to,
must be specific.
All
Because
right.
if you say never wrote any report,
all right, Chair.
he can also call us and say, but I once wrote a report
Oh,
about
yeah.
December.
No, he's more competent.
Yeah.
No, General Mutiba never wrote a security threat
Thank you.
assessment report. His signature there is only for declassification purposes as an accounting officer. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. You want to say something, Advocate Arendse?
We'll get, talking about his handwritten comments. Those are his comments, but he never wrote the report.
Do you agree with the last statement, General Phahlane?
No, Chair, it's too late. At least I'm not yet the senior citizen.
Do you agree with
Thank
that
you.
last?
I don't agree with it because the handwritten comments are Brigadier Moyane. General Mutiba only signed at the bottom in declassifying the document.
Okay. Advocate Arendse? Okay. No, thank you so much, honorable members. When tomorrow? Yeah. What time? Okay. The honorable members are, there is a acclamation for 11 o'clock tomorrow. Let's start at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And Bonani is announcing that as we leave, honorable members may use this exit. Thank you so much. Let's leave tomorrow. Let's meet tomorrow at 11.